Hey, let's jump right back into creating some more user flows. So, where did we leave off last? Well, we actually finished creating a user flow for finding the right product through search. And right at the end, we finished with the product description page. And I think that's a good kickoff to, possibly adding an item to the cart. Let's just duplicate this. Let's rename it. So Command R. What should we call this? Making a purchase. Perfect. Let's delete this. Let's start cleaning this up just a bit. So hypothetically, the user has added this to their cart. They're back at the home screen. Let's delete all of that. Let's put our title. So our title is making a purchase. Very nice. Okay, step one. Okay, just quick before we jump in, I'm going to click this. And right now, this is the instance that we're on, this button. What we can do is we can click right here in our panel and click the instance section, so button, and I can replace it with anything I want. So I'm going to replace it with field. And there you go. You don't have to keep on going back to your assets toggle if you don't want to, your tab over here. So we actually didn't make a navigation, and that's totally fine. We'll just make one really quickly right now. Okay. Let's spread that all the way to the end. That is going to be on the edge. Another Figma tip, if you wanted to spread these all across evenly on the horizontal plane, what I'm going to do is go up here and distribute horizontal spacing. Perfect. So we can just do something like this. And then, so this is going to be our cart icon for now. If we really wanted to, we can jump and grab the icon, but we're just going to just use this. And we're going to create another circle. So think about when we usually have something in our cart. When we're using an app that has something in their cart, we usually have some sort of notification that's constantly there to basically push us to check out. So we have a little notification there on top of our cart icon, which totally looks like a cart, just to nudge the user in that direction. So the user is able to see a cart notification that they can interact with. The user taps on the cart navigation item. Okay, so that's step one. Let's duplicate this again. Step two, nice. Okay, so what do they see now? Okay, there's probably some text at the top that says cart. In our sketches before, we started building out what this screen looks like. So we kind of have some sense of hierarchy here. So let's just take some items. So, whoops, there it is. Let's bring that in. So this is our item in our cart. It's looking fantastic. Let's grab a button. You notice how quickly we're just creating these user flows with our components. I mean, it's all about speeding up your workflow. We don't have time to go over and recreate the wheel all over again every single frame. So make your life easier, set yourself up for success. Okay, so I have a beautiful cart screen, totally a cart screen. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna just write a description for this task. The user is able to review the item/s items in their cart. Once they are happy with this information, they can proceed to the checkout process. Okay, that is perfect. So step 1, cart notification nudges them. Step 2, they go into the cart screen. Now step 3. So let's actually give a little bit more detail here. Once they are happy with this information, they can proceed to the checkout process by tapping the CTA. I know we're kind of moving quickly, but it's always good to just go back and do your best to add any details that you think are relevant. I like to kind of break it into 2 different sentences. I mean, they don't have to be limited to that, but they also don't need to be paragraphs. So the first sentence is what the user sees, and the second sentence would be what they plan to do. Sometimes that's kind of molded together like we have here. The user is able to kind of review their item in their cart, so they are kind of doing something at the same time. But once they are happy with that, once they've seen that information, they're able to do something else. So in this case, they're clicking that CTA to actually start that checkout process. Awesome. I love it. And it is coming together. Let's go to the next step. So review purchase details is probably what we would do next. The user is able to review any details in relation to the total price, user payment details, user address details, and that's probably it. I'm trying to think. So total price, maybe some checkout details. Maybe those are things like shipping or shipping price. What else could there be? There could be like promo codes. So we do really need to think about all those different scenarios as well. So see how the details are kind of just coming to me as I'm building these screens. It's never going to be perfect. And that's honestly, it's all about iteration. It's about, putting something down on paper or digitally and then building off that and getting better and better and just providing an overall good experience for your users. Don't just jump right into the pretty and fancy stuff just yet. So what would you have here? The user is able to review any details in relation to the total price, checkout details, user payment details, and user address details. I'm just going to break this off. Once the user is satisfied, they can complete their purchase. Great. Okay, so let's just kind of break out this screen a bit. So they'll probably have the item details there. What else could they have? They'll probably have some information regarding like their account and payment details. Maybe that's at the bottom. I'm not sure about the hierarchy just yet. That's something that you just kind of test over time. You prototype with people just to get it right. Maybe there's a field for a promo code. I don't know what it looks like just yet. For this checkout process, there's probably like a headline. Okay, so we have like our item. We have our promo code. Maybe some details around the product, or about the user's details, like their method of payment, their address that maybe they'll be able to edit. So I'm starting to think about that kind of stuff that I need to design for and think about. Maybe this is a good place to throw in. Like this is what the total could be. Okay. Perfect. That actually kind of looks like a receipt. Totally unintended, but I like it. Okay, so what do you think the user should do after here? The user probably confirms. So once the user is satisfied, they can complete their purchase. The user gets a confirmation screen and is able to return back to the home page. Okay, so when a user gets like a confirmation screen or something like this, that's a pretty big deal, I think. Personally, I think it's a huge deal. And I think this is where we can start thinking about Well, a user just did something pretty amazing. They made a purchase on our platform, and we should kind of like reward them with something, whether that's like a micro interaction or some sort of animation, just for like delight. So maybe it's something like we can start making a note here that just says possible animation for purchase confirmation. So we can just kind of highlight that there, and we can just label it a different color, because I want to really start thinking about these types of things early. I don't want to leave it to the end, because it's not good to leave it to the end, especially like how we spoke about that in terms of when we were sketching in sketching interactions. So we can kind of break this out a little bit more and start thinking about, well, what does this look like? What is the possible animation that we want to build here? If we do want to build an animation, do we want to build an animation around like the notification? So I'm going to probably leave a note here too. So Command C and Command V that. Perfect. Possible animation around notification. So I'm starting to pick out some key details here in this flow, just so it makes my life easier when I come back to this, or when I'm building this out further. And that's it. There you have it. That's making a purchase. So step one is the user is able to see a cart notification. Step two is they click on that notification, then they go to step two, and step two would be them in their cart screen. Look, I kind of think I forgot something here. Maybe in their cart screen, they possibly see additional items that they would like. So that's something to probably think about. I'm not sure if that's feasible or if we want to distract them here, but something to think about as well. Anyways, so step two is they go to their cart screen and they're able to review this information. And if they're happy with that, they're going to go straight over here. And when they're done here, reviewing their whole order, payment details, other types of input fields, checkout total, they're able to click on this button to place their order. And once they're done that, they go to a confirmation screen. That basically gives them like a high five for doing what they're doing. So like I said, keep these user flows simple, because there will be more user flows. 100%, as we saw, like there's probably a couple of flows that could come from this. Like what happens if the user needs to change some payment details? We can easily create a user flow for that. What happens if the user deletes the item from here? Where do they go? Just keep making your user flows purposeful. I mean, they need to have a purpose. They need to be detailed, so that way you can keep track of them and other people can really understand them. And then from here, we can really start defining much more of the structure of the app, and also much more of the details that we're going to need to design for. And that will definitely lead right into us actually creating some wireframes with some content. That's it for user flows. This is making a purchase.